Imagine you coming from an African country on a coastline like this. This is yet another journey in life. One stop, and it's a pleasant one for me. There are many others there in the world who aren't having a pleasant time like this. There's no excitement in their life. There's suffering. There's misery, an untold story. Will you be the voice of these ones? I come from a country in West Africa with a population of just over 24 million. And the 1:1 ratio, nearly 1:1 ratio of the male-female population. And we have a per capita income of just about $1,600. The sprawling urban population is brought along with its challenges, and one of these is crime. And a couple of persons have decided to use various forms of security measures. And we had a guard dog in a kennel right under this mango tree. We occasionally spray this mango with agrochemicals to ward off insects. Little do we know we're hurting the dog. A few years down the line, the dog developed leukemia, a type of blood cancer. We lost him. When we talk about Ghana, West Africa, we all know it's an area that has a lot of infectious diseases, communicable diseases, and malaria still accounts for about 40% of our OPD attendance. But there's an emerging trend. It's changing. Increasingly, we are seeing some non-communicable diseases, diabetes mellitus, we're seeing hypertension, and we are beginning to see a lot more of cancers. The pattern is changing. Are we prepared for this? In one institution alone, we had well over 1,000 cancer patients in a year. We have 2 cancer centers. On the whole, we're talking about 2,500 patients in a year. But this may just be the tip of the iceberg. How many are out there? How many are unaccounted for? We do not have a population cancer registry. Common kinds of cancers we see in our country are cervical cancer, liver cancer, breast cancer. This is the situation. Are we prepared for it? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the human resource to take care of this? This emergent trend is brought about how we call the double burden of disease. We have communicable diseases with malaria on the one side. We have non-communicable diseases, including cancer, diabetes, hypertension, and a host of others on the other side. The double burden of disease. Are we prepared for it? Do we have the infrastructure to take care of it? Do we have the personnel to take care of it? This is the question. The workload in the country is enormous. We have a doctor population ratio of 1 in over 10,000. And we have a nurse population ratio of nearly 1 in 1,000. A doctor is seeing about 40 to 60 patients in a day, and this is just the outpatient number. I'm not adding in their inpatients. How much time will the doctor have to see the patient? What is the quality of care? Are we creating a gap? We have a culture where we literally revere the dead. In this center, some may call it a previous unit. Some prefer to call it the departure hall. We have a lot of our dying patients in there. We had a patient in here who had terminal cancer. For the number of VCOs there, we could count the number of relatives and friends who visited him. But when he died, we had their family hire a chopper, come take the body for burial. Who will speak for this man? It could be you, it could be me, who will be in a situation like this. No one to care for, no one to attend to you. The voice of the dying, the untold story. Who will speak for them? And who will be there for them? This child had a cleft palate, bilateral cleft palate and lip. He has hope. In a resource-constrained country, he has surgery done, and this is the result. He was smiling after that. He's a happy child. Out of this woman, she has a jaw tumor, a cancer. She just started a journey of suffering, misery, isolation, deprivation, an uncertain future. Who will be her voice? Who will talk for her? Here she is, the fungating mass in the mouth, offensive. Will you want to sit by this woman in a bus? Will you want to eat with her? Will you stay with her? Will you keep her company? This is the misery, the beginning of a journey of pain. Who will be her voice? Who will tell her story? The voice of the dying. This is yet another lady who was stricken by a disease called multiple sclerosis. She's been bedridden for 14 years. Out of stress, the 74-year-old mother who was caring for her died of heart attack. In between, a trained attendant gave her hydrogen peroxide for a drink. The consequences you all know. She's alive though, but she's going through a lot of suffering. Whether a hospice, an end-of-life care center, will this be the situation? It may have been a different story. The gap has been created. The workload on the doctors is so much. The workload on the health workers is so much. There is a gap. The quality of care is down, is poor. And so many of our cancer patients die in pain. They die suffering. And so we have a lot of quacks and herbalists coming to take care of this. And here I hear the voice of my friend John, right in the background, crying out in pain. He was a research colleague. Sometime down the line, he had thyroid cancer. He was operated, but 2 years after, he had a dissemination of the cancer all over his body. There was no day I called him that he was not in pain. There was no day I called him that he was not crying. Here from afar, one afternoon, I picked his call while I was at work. And all I heard was, Mawuli, come take me away from here. I'm suffering. I am dying. He was at the mercy of the herbalist, at the mercy of the family who had lost all trust in the system, the health system, because we were not able to take care of his pain. In a country where access to pain, medications, morphine, and all the kinds of morphine that would control the pain is very limited, he had no choice. He was in a place where they were even giving him a spike morphine. This is the voice of John. He says, make sure that others do not go down the line I'm going through. Well-educated and from a resource family, yet he was incapacitated and had to rely on others. And so this is what they decided to do with him. The voice of John is telling me, shall we let others go down the same line? The story can be different. Nelson Mandela of South Africa is a prostate cancer survivor. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, also of South Africa, is also a prostate cancer survivor. If we had a well-planned system and we had all the resources, the story could be different. We will see the smiles like this, and it will be a different story. You and I can make a change. We can be the voice of the dying. We can tell their story. Today, you don't need to experience it. Someone here is telling the story of these ones who are dying and suffering. Danny White set the trail ablaze. And here he was diagnosed of having leukemia in 2004. He was treated in the United Kingdom, and he had remission. He started to campaign and spreading the news about leukemia, that everyone be well educated on it. 2 years down the line, he had a relapse, and this time he needed a bone marrow transplant. He was black, and he had 1 in 100,000 chance of getting an appropriate match for his cure, as against 1 in 3 and 1 in a quarter for the whites. Why do we have that disproportion? Because the potential registers were all white, and we had only a few black registers. And that is why there was this big gap. He said he contracted this whilst using a lot of insecticides to ward off insects in his house. Remember the story of the dog. In 2007, when it was almost certain that he wasn't going to get a match, he made a passionate appeal. And he said, what greater gift can one human being give to the other than the gift of life? You may save my life if you come donate. Just when they got an appropriate match for him, he passed away. Danny White is dead, but his ideas live on. We could continue the good work that he started. We could expand the registry. And now we have a bone cancer register in West Africa, started by Danny White. We also have a collaboration with the University of Michigan in establishing a breast cancer registry in the country. This is institutionalized. The idea is we'll have it bigger in the future and have a population register. In this way, we will be able to know exactly the cancer burden in the country. Then we can plan better the human resource, the infrastructure resource, so that we will be able to take adequate care of these dying cancer patients. Remember, the average age of the breast cancer patient in Ghana is 48 years, as against 62 years out here. And about 75% of them report late in stage 3, when very little can be done for them. Shall we raise our hands up in the air and say, hey, woman, we can't do anything for you, you've come too late. There can be a way out. We can help her. We can provide palliative care. What is the way forward? Probably, we need to set up a comprehensive palliative care unit. If we had this, that young woman wouldn't have lost her mother. She wouldn't have been so stressed out. We could have placed her somewhere and should have had appropriate care, and that could have saved the situation. We will need the appropriate human resource. We have free certified radiation oncologists in the country. We have a few still under training. We have less than 10 medical oncologists in the country. Are they able to take care of the known 2,000 and over 2,000 cancer patients registered, and the unknown 2/3 that are in the community? Are they able to, what kind of quality of care are we providing for these patients? We will need more, and so human resource will need to be developed. Above all, we will need targeted research into the area of cancer. Research that will bring out innovations that will address the needs of the cancer patients. Let's not forget that genetically, it varies across ethnic groups. And for instance, whilst you have a kind of breast cancer here that responds to the traditional drugs that we have, in Ghana and the Black African, we have what we call the triple negative. So invasive, very aggressive, and resistant to treatment. We have them young. What's going to be the future of our children? We'll need to research into it. Work is going on right now in the University of Michigan. We bring the tissues from Ghana to the University of Michigan for analysis in the development of a xenograph. That is what is happening now. Probably sometime soon, something will come out, and we'll have appropriate drugs for these patients. But until then, I think we'll have to struggle with the situation, and I'll encourage a lot more research. It's time we start looking up, researching into this area to see a disparity between the ethnic groups. In that way, I think the future will be bright for our young ones who are coming. Thank you so much.